Barely. So? Last I checked, that's not a crime. Maybe. What about common decency? Nobody wants to have to look at a chick who looks like a half-naked raisin. They're really getting at her for being old and stuff, but she doesn't even look that old. It's funny though. I'm gonna kill you. Oh. Wouldn't put it past you. Fell through the floor. Lotta's hair flared out like the mane of an angry lion, and she roared with a voice that shook the walls. With some difficulty, Ace managed to restrain her. Junpei, read the rest. Right. Junpei tore his eyes away and looked down at the 6-piece of paper. He opened it. June wants door 6. Yes. I don't really have a reason, I just felt like it. I want door 6 as well. All of the papers save Junpei's had been read. He did some quick calculations in his head. People who requested door 1 was Ace and Clover. This was the door on A deck near the central staircase. People who requested door 2 is 7 and Lois. This was the door at the bottom, on the bottom deck, and could be reached by taking the elevator to the bottom of the ship. People who requested door 6 is Santa and June. This was the door on E deck and could be reached by taking the elevator near the central staircase down. It took him less than a second to run the numbers. He opened the 7th piece of paper and spoke. Okay, the last one is mine. I want to go through door 6. I want to go through door 6. Junpei flipped open the piece of paper. It read, Junpei, door 6. Of course it did. He'd written after all. That's a problem. Oh. I guess I didn't think of the calculations. June spoke barely above a whisper, but they all knew what she'd said. None of these teams will be able to go through the doors they want. Clover and I choose door 1. Lotus and I choose door 2. That's not enough people to open a numbered door, however. The digital routes don't match up either. We've got similar problems. June, Junpei and I want to go through door 6, but our digital route is 5. If we're going to open that door, we need a 1. Damn. What are we going to do now? What are we going to do? Junpei crossed his arms and did his best to put his thoughts in order. The others followed suit, but with little result. Eventually, Clover broke the silence. Why don't 7 and Lotus go through door number 1? With me. Her face was cold and flat, as was her voice, but her logic was sound. 7 and Lotus looked at each other. 7 and 8 and 4 equals 19. 1 and 9 is 10. 1 and 0 equals 1. First broken result. Ace spoke up. What about me? Isn't that obvious? Wasn't one of the teams just complaining that they didn't have a 1? You mean I should join Santa's team? Clover nodded, her face still cold and emotionless. Her attitude and posture could not have been more different than the energetic girl of only a few hours before. No one seemed ready to contradict her. Her response was understandable given the horrible situation in which she had found herself, but even so, I understand. I will go through door 6 then. If we do as Clover suggested, we can all pass through a numbered door. No one will be left behind. This seems to be the most reasonable solution. 3 and 6 and 5 and 1 equals 15. 1 and 5 is 6. 7, Lotus, what do you guys think? I don't have a problem with it. Me either. Alright then, we're good to go. At last, Junpei and the other 6 had managed to separate themselves into 2 teams. Clover, 7 and Lotus headed to A deck, where door 1 was near the main staircase. Junpei, June and Ace and Santa, however, took the elevator to E deck. I haven't been in a team with Ace yet. It'll be good to see how he contributes to the investigation. The ride to E deck was a silent one. Alright, let's go. Santa's words jolted them into action, and they stepped out the elevator into a long straight hallway. Here we go. Before long they arrived in front of door 6. One by one they put their palms over the red. With a soft electronic noise, it authenticated each of them. Beep-a-doop. The door opened, and all at once the 4 of them leapt through it. Fortunately, the dead was located easily enough. This one had been placed quite close to the door they'd entered through. They gathered around it quickly and hurriedly placed their palms on it for authentication one by one. Bloop. It stopped. Yes, it stopped. The countdown had ceased, but Junpei's heart was still pounding in his chest, like a frantic, thunderous drum. It felt as though it might shake itself up and out of his throat. He had been through the doors 3 times before, but repetition had not dulled the experience. He was not anxious to find it dulled, however. He hoped to be free of the ridiculous game long before that happened. Alright, let's go. With that attempt at good humour, Junpei took a deep breath and began to walk. He jogged down the stairs at the end of the hallway and found himself staring at a large door. It was a heavy thing made of iron, and more than a little threatening. He took hold of the bar that served as its doorknob and shoved it down. The room beyond stopped him in his tracks. Oh. It's like the engine room? Like the coal rooms? It was gargantuan and made entirely of metal. None of the accents of wood or tile he'd seen in the rest of the ship. This room was purely functional, but utterly tremendous. Whoa, what the hell is this? Santa got out a few words of awe before... Santa got out a few words before awe stole the rest of them. The rest were too stunned to offer anything more than gasps. It was easily the largest room they'd seen, and yet it was somehow closed and oppressive. The ceiling was at least 2 stories high, if not significantly more. It was easily several hundred feet across, and appeared to stretch the entire width of the ship. In the centre of that gargantuan room stood a massive, rounded building. Even from a distance, the sheer bulk of it was oppressive. Junpei could feel the room, the building, even the air pressing down on it. Junpei and the others were standing on scaffolding that crisscrossed the whole area. The proper term was catwalk, Junpei thought, although that didn't seem particularly important. Alright, let's head downstairs. Nearby was a long iron staircase that made its way eventually to the floor beneath them. They moved around toward the opposite side of the massive building, following the catwalk. They hadn't said much as they walked, but as they approached the building, Ace suddenly spoke up. This looks to be the steam engine room. The steam engine room? Yes, the thing that looks like a cross-section of the mushroom is the boiler. Do you see the 3 round doors near the bottom? Coal is put into these and burned, which heats the water, producing steam. The same thing that drives the steam engine. This one is simply somewhat larger. I see. Even if Ace was right, the boiler was boiling nothing as they approached it. The entire room was as silent as the grave. Suddenly, Junpei heard a noise behind him. He turned, just in time to see June collapse to her knees. Huh? Ill again? Hey, what's wrong? Are you alright? He dashed towards her and wrapped his arm around her shoulders to steady her. It was then he noticed. You're really warm. Is your fever coming back? Yes. Yes, it probably is. But I'm fine. Please don't worry about me. I just need to rest, and I'll be fine. Her voice was weak and forced, and it said a great deal more than her words did. Junpei carried her to the nearest wall and propped up against it. She let her head fall back against the wall, as if she no longer had the strength to support it, and drew a ragged breath. Her eyes were empty, as if she was having trouble focusing them, and even speaking seemed difficult for her. Junpei felt his hand ball itself into a fist and clenched tight, his knuckles whitening. He had to find a way out, and quickly. He turned and looked at Ace and Santa in turn. They might not share the depth of his emotion. Sorry. But they certainly shared his concern. He didn't need words to express the urgency of their situation. Alright, let's get started. Hang in there, June. I'm gonna get you out of here real soon. She managed a small nod before leaning back to rest her head on the wall. Seek a way out. Steam engine room. Alright, let's check out this. It's a square hole. Nothing in here. Ah, look at the back wall there. I can see 3 small spots. Terminals for some sort of connector, perhaps? You may think we're supposed to plug something in here? Perhaps. A square hole on the side of the tunnel. There are 3 slots here. They look like connection terminals for something. Look at that button. It's glowing orange, right?